I did not read this Lenny Dykstra tweet.
Is it that vulgar?
The trade for Brittany Grinder. He calls her Grinder. The trade for Brittany Grinder reminds you most of which of these Mets trades?
I think this episode should be called "How Many Mets Got Hurt This Week?" All right, we're in episode 14, and that's what we are in. And this is what we'll call the meatloaf episode, because I will do anything for love, but I won't sign that. No. And the adjustments are made just like a fine-tuned lady. It looks perfect. She may be 50, but her glossy face tells you she's both in shock, awe, and happy, all at the same time. Thank you, Botox. If you're dating after a divorce, tell a joke. See how her face reacts. And that's a keeper, everybody. All right, hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 14. I am your host, Brendan, and I am super excited to be here with my favorite two people in the world. Number one, Todd Lemieux. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. It's Christmas cookie season around the house here. We've got sugar cookies, we got butter cookies, we got the Italian honey balls going. It's great.
Did you get the new Mets cutouts?
The new Mets cutout?
Yeah, like each new Met signing, did they come with cookie cutters? Did you get that?
Ooh, can we sell that on Swing Batter?
Only if they're missing limbs, because you know the Mets trading staff. But here we go, everybody.
Introduce Dad, please.
My other favorite person in the world, Dad. How you doing, Dad?
Howdy, folks. Doing great.
Fantastic. Anything interesting happened to you this week, Father?
Oh, yeah. Brendan came to visit.
That's right. I did come to visit. We were going to do a live event. This episode's also brought to you by Whataburger, because Whataburger is what we have on the way home. Anyhow, we're back to episode 14, where we talk about swing batter contracts for the offseason, the best time of the year. And this is where the marshmallows and the hot chocolate taste just a little bit better, because everyone's dreaming of championships. Or are they? But before we get into those contracts, Dad, do you have the favorite, the best? Set your fires ablaze, folks, because we have story time.
You know, baseball stories often reflect real life, and that's what makes them so interesting. So I want to talk about, I call him Mr. Mediocre. This guy never did anything significant, yet he played 8 years in the major league, so he must have been a pretty good player to make the major league, stay around for 8 years. When I was a little kid, if you people ever saw Sandlot, that's kind of like how I lived. We put a baseball glove on our bike in the summer, and we drove around looking for a game.
Come on! We'll take you on right here, right now! Come on!
And there was this little store in the downtown area where we would buy our baseball cards, and everyone bought baseball cards. I don't remember trading them a lot. I think we just looked for star players. And there was one summer, this guy kept coming up like in every pack, and no one wanted him.
You play ball like a girl!
His name was Joe Grisenda, and it's spelled Grzenda. There's only 2 vowels in his name, an E and an A. And he just he never did anything. So what you did with a card like that is you take a clothespin and put it on the spoke of your bicycle with the card. So when you rode, it would rattle. It would make like a cool noise. And that's pretty much where Joe Grisenda's card ended up in our town for everyone. But a little bit about Joe, I was looking it up. I got his last baseball card, so it had all of his records. He actually played in the major league for 8 years. He was a pitcher. He only started 3 games, so he was mostly a middle reliever. Played for the Tigers, the Athletics, the Mets, the Twins, the Senators, and the Cardinals. So he just 1 year, 2 years with each team. None of those teams ever made a playoff game or a World Series. So at the end of his career, he had 14 wins and 13 losses. His earned run average was 4.0. In 308 innings, he struck out 173, walked 120. There's just nothing there other than the fact that he played for 8 years. Well, he did have one actually pretty good year with the Washington Senators, where they let him close, and he actually made the All-Star team. He ended up with a 5-2 record with a 192 earned run average, but that was a blip. No other year came close to that. He ended up in the Washington Senators, and they announced on the last day of the season, his last game, that they were moving to Texas. Now, what made this particularly difficult was 10 years earlier, the Washington Senators moved to Minnesota and became the Twins. So in 10 years, this city lost 2 teams, and they were furious. So the crowd that showed up on the final game was just angry, and what they wanted to do was just run on the field and steal the bases and just wreck the place, right? Well, it so happened that the Washington Senators were winning on the last day of the season. They were beating the Yankees, and they called on Joe to get a save. Last game, whatever, and he comes out, and he gets 2 men out. He's all ready to get a save. The fans mob the field. They can't finish the game. The umpires forfeit it to the Yankees, and Joe doesn't get a save. And he goes on and retires, and who knows what he does. He delivers milk or whatever he does for the rest of his life. But Joe actually did get the last laugh, because years later, Washington decided for a 3rd time to get a team. They stole the Expos from Montreal and renamed them the Nationals. So on opening day, they invited the president, George W. Bush, to come to the game to throw out the first ball. And they found out that Joe Grisenda had the last ball that was ever pitched in the stadium. He just put it in his pocket and left. He notified them, and he comes back, and the whole stadium's cheering for Joe because he's got this ball that he gives to the president, and the Nationals get started. So Mr. Mediocre would never be remembered by anyone, was through fate famous for 2 or 3 minutes because he had the ball. And that's my Joe Grisenda story.
So you never know where life's going to take you.
That's right. And other than that, well, even with it, no one knows about Joe, right?
Is it ironic that the person he gave the ball to throw out the first pitch was the owner of the team that used to be the Washington Senators?
Yep.
Like, was it just because he was the president, or was it because, like, hey, you're the guy that was part of the organization that used to be us?
It's because he was the president, but you're right. It is very ironic.
Man.
So we have lots to talk about
Texas Rangers.
I find that story to be very inspirational. 2 reasons. One is for all the people out there that are really giving it a real go. I'm talking about you college professors out there. You bunkered down during COVID and taught at home, and now you're out there just really doing God's work, taking the money from our children, our young adults, and you're out there giving a good, solid C effort, and you get rewarded with tenure. Now, I think Joe, he should have had tenure. I think that's about right. I hope he's out teaching somewhere at a university. I have a couple that come to mind. My favorite, University of Denver. Shout out to the most expensive college for no good reason. And I'm sure there's others out there that are just doing great and helping our youth get that first step down before they really start to realize how much life is just going to hammer them. So I appreciate college for what it does. Really sinkers them down with a 4.03 ERA. And for that, I had a lot of teachers like that taught me not a lot, but that paycheck kept rolling in. So when you go off to work on Monday, I just want to start your meeting off with this. Did your check bounce? Participate. Have an impact. Do something. Be a Joe.
Be a Joe.
I'm impressed that you take a story about this guy who works hard, fair to middle in 4.0 ERA, happens to wear the number 43 when he's on the Mets in 67, and use that to attack an entire population of the country.
Well, I'm in luck.
That's talented.
I'm in luck because there's I I guarantee you none of them are listening to the way that I butchered the English language. I would do a moment of silence for one of my brothers. That's about all I'm going to give him. And I know he does a better job than Joe. I know that for a fact.
But listen,
But there's a lot of Joes out there. Just be a Joe, swing batter, be a Joe at work, have your check come in. Now, I will say that we have had a ton of movement, and I'm still mesmerized by the press conference that the Texas Rangers gave where they said, we are going to be a winner. And when I look at the Texas Rangers, and we've evaluated that, I think there are a couple teams out there that are really trying to compete with the Rangers at telling their fans, we are a winner and we're trying, but they're really not. And my first nomination for the Texas Ranger Award, Boston Red Sox, step right up to the plate. They just had a massive signing that I'm sure Todd is super excited about. As a Mets fan, the one, the only, the 38-year-old man who pulls hamstrings for your former Los Angeles Dodgers, Justin Turner, has signed with the Boston Red Sox to meet the former closer, who doesn't close very good anymore, Mr. Jansen, and the Red Sox are in what you would call the Ranger Hurricane for their division, spending money and not really going to have anything to show for it. That's my nomination. Your thoughts, Todd? What do you think of that?
I'm confused by the Justin Turner signing in Boston until I remember that they did sign Jansen, but like they've got Yoshida too. Like I feel like they're just signing people to sell tickets at this point, right? Like we're going to give them an attaboy and, you know, we're going to throw in a big maybe. But we're really just kind of covering for the fact that we're developing the team for the next couple of years. And then we'll figure that out when Aaron Judge gets too old to compete in like 4 or 5 years. That's what I feel like the Red Sox have basically thrown in the towel and said, hey, retire to Beantown. You know, it's going to be fun. Like, well, you know, it's, you know, play at Fenway. It's going to be a wicked pisser. And we're going to, you know, that's how it's going to, that's what the Red Sox are doing. They're sliding into the Detroit Tiger realm of baseball, where they're locked into contracts with people that are old, and it's like, okay, that's great. Let's go buy a ticket to see Justin Turner's last turnaround and the Diamond. I don't know.
I found this signing interesting because just the day before, I think, the Dodgers went out and signed J.D. Martinez, who played with the Red Sox, for 1 year and $10 million. So it's like a trade. The Dodgers get 1 year, $10 million. The Red Sox get 2 years, $22 million for a guy I think is 2 or 3 years older than Martinez.
True.
And has a lot more injuries. So I would say the Dodgers got the better of that. It wasn't really a trade, but that's what it ended up being.
So explain to me, just explain to me the obsession that currently exists in Major League Baseball with signing every position player to 40 or 41 years old.
Testosterone boosters? I don't know what to tell you. They're not at their peak performance. They're not going to do anything great. All the data says they decline. Justin Turner shouldn't have a 2-year deal. That is one of those deals that just doesn't make any sense. J.D. Martinez literally said, I want to go win. He went to Boston to go win. And Boston will be remembered over the last 4 years. How many future Hall of Famers did they let leave their team? Mookie Betts, Xander. You could easily argue that there's a couple more. I mean, has Nathan signed yet? The pitcher that the Red Sox had that was fantastic for them?
I don't know if he has.
I don't think he has. Nathan Eovaldi?
Yes, Nathan Eovaldi. He was really good for them. He's been really good for them. You would think he would sign him. No, they signed Justin Turner. They signed Kenley Jansen. So I think the Red Sox are my nomination for the AL East Texas Ranger Award.
But they're not. But they're not spending. They're still only. They're not. They're still like in the bottom 15 of the league.
Yeah, that does hurt. That does hurt the argument. I said I nominated them. I didn't say that they were going to win for their division. They are in the bottom half of the league. You're correct. However, they're next to the other nomination that I have in the AL Central. And you mentioned them earlier. And I love them for many, many reasons. But mainly Javier Baez. Yes, the Detroit Tigers signed Javier Baez last year to the most enormous, ridiculous contract. And they didn't have to do it. There was no competition. And then the GM got fired, so he gets a paycheck to leave. And I nominate the Detroit Tigers as the Texas Rangers as, hey, we want to win, kind of, sort of, while we're building, kind of, sort of. Now, going back to your JD Martinez idea of the Dodgers, I guarantee you he told his agent he wants to win. He wants to play for a winner. He still has a massive bat. He is still going to be clutch. And as someone in Arizona and the Diamondbacks, I do like them. This will be a travesty for the Diamondbacks because, of course, he'll come up with clutch hits at the right times for the Dodgers, as always, because the Dodgers are the Dodgers. So those are my two nominations for the AL with the Rangers, would be the Detroit Tigers and the Boston Red Sox. Todd, what do you think of the Tigers?
Tigers are interesting because the three free agents they've signed so far this year, all three free agents they've signed for 1 year. And the only one they've signed for 8 figures is $10 million. On the nose is Matt Boyd, right? At 31 years old. So it's obvious to me they are digging out of what I call the Tiger Trench. And that is, we're buried under so many bad contracts. The only thing we can afford is to rent a mercenary to sell some tickets for the time being. The Boston Red Sox are starting to go down into that trench where they will experience a blasé, hey, I've got season tickets just for having season tickets. Maybe Detroit will be relevant in 2 years if they can start to turn some things around. But yeah, I can see that. I can see that where they're comparable to Boston. Their projected total payroll right now is around $117 million. Boston's also around $100 million. It's not like they're spending. So maybe they're just waiting for Papa Cohen's luxury tax to come in so they can buy more hot dogs. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
I think...
Well, it seems to me that you sign players when you know you're not going to win. You sign players to get the fans to come to the ballpark, to pretend that you got hope. And these two signings of the Red Sox, with both in their high 30s in age, both on the downside of their career, I don't understand how that's going to sell tickets. This guy used to be on a winning team. You want to come see him? It's like going to the circus and going into the freak show, Just go look at this guy. One time he was great.
Are you saying that because he's a redhead?
Justin Turner's a wonderful person. He got all his training at the Mets. That's how he became so good.
That's true.
He was good on the Dodgers, though.
Yeah. Holy cow. So, Brennan, who else do you have that's in the Texas Rangers territory?
So those are.
Wait, did you just say? Wait, the Rangers are in the West. They're not in the Central.
Yes, the Rangers are.
Yeah, I'm on a baseball podcast. I don't know what the divisions are.
That's okay. It's quite all right. And then for the NL West is my favorite team in the world. It's the craptaculous Colorado Rockies. I have never in my life seen a team spend more money at third base because of Chris Bryant and Nolan Arenado. But you've told me these numbers so many times, and every time it's unbelievable. It's the highest paid position in baseball, what the Rockies are shelling out for third base. They are paying Chris Bryant. Todd, you want to just tell me what it is? Because it's so...
$28 million.
For Chris Bryant, who didn't play at all last year. He didn't play. He was like, He took the year off and went skiing in Colorado.
It's a delight.
And he had a great...
It's a delight.
And they're paying Nolan to not play for them, to go play with the Cardinals.
$16 million is $44 million. I need you to think about the fact that they're basically paying what 2 Mets starters are making. More for the third base position. It's so good. I mean, it's so good. If I worked in Colorado in that back office, I would literally take $44 million, take a giant $44 million bill, and every morning I would burn it in the parking lot just so they could see what they're doing and keep warm. And this is the thing, their whole payroll is just projected to be like 165. 165. Like, what are you selling tickets for? So that we could all see Charlie Blackmon once? I mean, come on. This is how you know marijuana is legal in Colorado, because you have to be high to buy tickets to watch this team. I mean, like, it's so bad.
And when they signed Chris Bryant, I guarantee you, like, this is our commitment to winning after we got rid of Nolan Arenado.
Where is it? Is there a recording of the Chris Bryant
$40
introduction?
million.
Oh,
I take a lot of pride in the fact that I've never played on a losing team, and I don't plan on doing that. So I hope I can bring an attitude here that they already do have. I just hope to complement it.
Just for third base. That's just one position. And the Cardinals are sitting there with obviously a future Hall of Famer going to easily win their division because they're loaded up with talent, and they got him on a deal. Like, what was that?
Well, I don't understand. So the Cardinals didn't have to pay. How did they get him not have to pay him?
They made a deal with the Rockies that the Rockies would have to eat part of his salary. Now, the Rockies are known for this because they did it with Troy Tulowitzki when they got rid of him. The Rockies ate that part of the contract. The Rockies signed such terrible deals to get rid of players that they no longer want or want to leave. They have to pay them on their own salary to trade them.
Well, when I go to a wedding, I don't really talk about the bridesmaids. So
There's such bad.
Probably write a book. We should write a book or a chapter about the Rockies, because I also remember them taking Jose Reyes when he just couldn't play anymore and eating his huge contract. I think he was a great player once, but he was no good on them.
He had an altered.
Arenado's base salary, this is $35 million. $13 million of that is being paid by the Cardinals.
13?
This year it's $13 million.
They differ.
Next year it'll be 24, then 21, then 16, then 15. So it's in 2027 that the Cardinals are finally paying his whole salary. It's amazing.
The Rockies are, but the Rockies
it's a brilliant.
The Rockies do need their own chapter for many reasons, but they are the Texas Rangers. They have press conferences. I went to school up there back in the day, and they would say, we are going to build a winner, and not a single pitcher. They have one of the worst contracts. You remember, Todd Yuzmet, Mike Hampton.
Oh, God, yeah.
Mike Hampton went to the Rockies. He signed a massive deal. Everyone was like, whoa, what are you doing here? Why would Mike go there?
That was crazy.
He was terrible. He was not himself.
He was the best. He was the best pitcher the year before. Yes. And when he signed in Colorado, everybody was like, well, there goes your career. It doesn't even make sense.
He was terrible.
I got another question about money and misspending. It may be on the Red Sox. I'm not sure. But they ended up getting the back end of a deal with the Padres, and they had to take on Eric Hosmer, who still has a good-sized contract. And they just designated him for assignment, which usually means you're eating his salary, right?
Correct.
So I don't know what they have to pay. There's an empty base the Red Sox have to pay.
Yeah, the Red Sox are eating. The Red Sox are basically eating $20 million this year.
Hosmer?
On Hosmer.
So if you really
this year, I think, $13 million this year.
So you really like him, you can pick him up, I think, for minimum and let the Red Sox pay for him, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, unless something where, like, if you pick him up, I don't know, somebody who's listening to this who knows what the heck they're talking about, please leave a comment after you subscribe and raise our subscriber numbers to the triple digits here. Like, tell us what happens if Eric Hosmer gets picked up. If you're the guy that burns the $44 million bill in Colorado and you understand this, that would be brilliant if Hosmer went to Colorado. That would make up for it, right? Because now I'm averaging, between the two positions, I'm actually averaging a decent salary. But it's just, Yeah, hold on. Osmer, I
They
don't.
don't want to deal with Colorado. They're probably like, there's something wrong with this deal. He's getting paid too little. We can't.
Hosmer Tiger trenched the Red Sox.
I really, as you guys know, I hate guys who just strike out, leave those men on base. And my hero of the strikeouts lately has been Joey Gallo, who I just saw signed with Minnesota for $11 million. This seems to be the sweet spot for signing people for 1 year. As JD Martinez got $10 million, and Joey Gallo got 11. Maybe I missed.
That's a
I read
robbery.
the article, and they say that Joey Gallo is a good defensive player. I've never watched him play defense, so I don't know. But he'll be up there cooling off the people who come visit the Twins games with his swing and misses. He sure likes to miss the shot.
When they open the season at 35 degrees, they won't want him to swing and miss. I can tell you that. Every time Minnesota opens up, it's
Maybe he'll
crazy.
resurrect his career and hit 50 home runs and be the next Aaron Judge or something.
11.
Don't count on it.
JD's 10, Gallo's 11. That's a heck of a deal. And again, the Twins. They're not spending a lot. They're one of those teams that's like, yeah, we're trying. They tried with Carrera. Carrera left. I mean, they're not.
They actually, a couple years ago, had a pretty good team, made the playoffs and everything. So with the resources they have, I think the Twins actually put together a good team. So let's hope they know what they're doing with Joey, swing and miss. Speaking of swing and miss,
Wait a second.
pardon?
Joey Gallo in 2021 led the major leagues with 213 strikeouts.
Mm-hmm.
That's disgusting.
How many home runs?
He had a total of 38 home runs and 77 RBIs. He batted 199. This is beyond King Kong Kingman levels of incompetency at the bat. This is astronomically stupid. And then in 2022, he struck out 163 times and dropped his average to 160.
That's only because he didn't play very much.
Oh, the 160 average was because he didn't play?
Well, how many at-bats? He doesn't have many at-bats to strike out.
He had 126 games in 22.
Yeah, but a lot of them he had one at-bat. How many
He had 410 plate appearances.
Only struck out
350 at-bats.
How many walks?
only struck out 163 times. Maybe he's been studying Tony Gwynn guns.
Holy cow. What's wrong with you? How do you bat 160? How do you bat 160 and sign your check? The back of the check.
Because his name's Joe.
When he was getting the check from Toronto and the Yankees and the Dodgers, and the batting average is 160. When he goes to sign nobody does this anymore, whatever. But when he goes to the direct deposit and he's looking at the slip, at some point does human shame kick in when you know that out there is a little leaguer who's built like a tank who can bat 175?
No, because
Zach Greinke's a better hitter than him.
if you go back to the original story of Joe, and now you have Joey Gallo, and I told you about my rant about colleges, full circle, Todd, full circle, play like Joe or Joey Gallo. $11 million should not have gone over 5. Who's better? Who's better this year? Hold on. Here's a good question. I got a very old Carlos Santana, my favorite, versus Joey Gallo. Who is better this year?
Carlos Santana, because
He's pregnant.
oh god, Joey
And
Gallo.
8 months
Joey
pregnant.
Gallo's the guy at your job. Joey Gallo's the guy at your job that shows up late, that leaves early, that is making lunch reservations at McDonald's 2 days in advance because he wants that McRib. That's Joey Gallo, right? And every once in a while, he comes in with a deal that you're like, I don't even know where this guy got it from. Maybe he's bribing somebody. I don't know. But basically, his average is total failure on a day-to-day basis. That's Joey Gallo. And the only reason he's around is because, last year, 19 times he had a round tripper. 19 home runs.
He sounds like a modern day Chris Davis.
Without all the steroids?
Yeah.
The big claim to fame to
By the way,
Joey
MLB
had
approved steroids?
Didn't Joey Gallo have a couple of good home runs years, and that's what he's living off of? He had a couple years like with a lot of home runs.
Yes, Dad, he was.
We had 1 year we had 41 in 2017. 2018 he had 40. Then he had 38 in 2021.
the Rangers.
And let me tell you about Joey. Let me tell you about Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo was on the same Little League team with Bryce Harper. Maybe I'm wrong. That might have been Chris Bryant. There's two guys that were on the same Little League team. I get them mixed up.
But only one of them is worth it, darn.
Well,
Chris
yeah.
Bryant ain't worth it.
Yeah, I was on a Little League team with a guy who played in the majors.
Only one of them is earning their money, Mr. Harper. We appreciate you. Okay, so on to the hard division that I have for the Rangers is the NL Central. The reason why this is a hard division, everyone, boys and girls, as you sit down, no one spends a lot of money in this division. The Cardinals are not spending a lot of money. They have a very good team. They have a very good front office. The Cubs
I agree.
have spent more this offseason. I don't mind the moves the Cubs have made. Milwaukee, the Pirates, and Cincinnati combined payrolls, maybe Max Scherzer, and maybe the starting lineup of the Mets. Maybe. I think it's maybe that high. But they
All right, so put your thinking caps on. Put your thinking caps on, and let's try to find out what we're talking about as far as, combined payroll here for these teams, right?
absolutely.
Because
Math time, here we go.
Milwaukee Brewers, it looks like I don't know, I gotta get their projected, right?
Correct.
I want their projected.
And Chris,
So you said-
and if they can get rid of Christian Yelich, their projections go down like a rock in the ocean.
So their projected payroll is 112 for Milwaukee. All right.
That's pretty high.
Next up, you said.
Is you have Cincinnati Reds.
Oh, that's right. They're a major league team. Cincinnati
They're a
Reds.
great major league team. They weren't even
They were.
they are one of the staples of baseball. They had some of the best teams in the history of baseball, and they have been irrelevant forever. Their most known fact in the last 20 years is that their announcer made a terrible comment online, had to apologize, and got fired. Not online.
Well, they also had Ken Griffey for one. So they're at 70 million,
Okay.
right? So what are we at? 180 million?
180. And
I just read like 5 or 6 million of that's going to Ken Griffey Jr.
that's fair. The last team is definitely the bottom, the Pirates.
You're not wrong.
The Pittsburgh Pirates, again, another classic team, classic baseball, but today's era, nada.
Their projected total is devastating.
It was Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
What is it?
This is the Pittsburgh Pirates should be brought up on charges because they're basically paying out what they're receiving in a luxury tax. $58 million. That's their projected payroll.
Yeah, and they got Brendan's favorite first baseman there, the 38-year-old first baseman you like.
Oh, no. I thought they signed Josh Bell. Oh, no, Carlos Santana. You're no great. My favorite, Carlos Santana. I apologize.
Did they get Josh Bell also?
No, Josh Bell went to Cleveland. We love that pick. We love that pickup for Cleveland. Cleveland's smart. Cleveland's very-
I was excited about Choi going to Pittsburgh. And you guys all laughed because you said nobody's going to buy a jersey with Choi.
I agree with you, Todd. Somebody should find Pittsburgh. That's a great sports city, beautiful stadium, and it doesn't even look like they're trying. It's just
I have an idea.
very sad.
I have an idea. Legitimate idea.
Let's buy it.
There's no way. We could be the second Lemieux family to own a team in Pittsburgh.
Now we're talking.
Right? We could be the second. So listen, here's the deal. Mario Lemieux.
Mario.
This is just for you. And we should tag him in this. But Mario, there are other Lemieux in the world that want to own a team in Pittsburgh.
That is true.
If you can get your boys together, you already saved one franchise. Let's save the other one. I would go in. And that's the best part is we could have all we definitely would have to return the stovepipe hats, right? That has to come back.
Absolutely.
And there's not even a question about that.
What's really sad about this is I think the old timer games with Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, those teams they put on the field might beat the current teams.
Absolutely.
You said
God.
And they would be guaranteed to. If they pretended Pete Rose wasn't banished from baseball, they definitely would.
they have great retired players.
So based on the money that you're throwing around of projection salaries and what have you, I would have to currently give the NL Central to the Cubs, only because they have not done anything. They haven't gotten off. Milwaukee's better than them and the Cardinals are better than them. But as far as spending money and not getting anything for your money and pretending to be a winner and me wanting to go to their stadium, the Cubs are my nomination to be the Rangers. Remember, I want to visit all of my nominations this season.
So you got Dansby Swanson. Is he like their Jacob deGrom because they're going to win?
I would say so.
No, I actually like the Cubs' moves this offseason.
They're signing Drew Smiley this afternoon.
Is that a real person?
He's
Not something to smile about.
a left-handed pitcher, which means he can pitch till he's 48.
The Bellinger signing is going to be the best signing of the offseason.
This team's loaded. Bellinger and Dansby Swanson.
That's huge.
Listen,
And they improved by getting rid of Jason Hayward. That made him better, just getting rid of him.
I'm watching. He'll have 50 home runs for the Dodgers.
Although they're paying him $22 million to walk away.
Again,
That's right.
the Cubs are like the Rangers. That's my nomination. So I have the NL West covered with the Craptaculous Rockies, which we all agree is by far holding the flag with the Rangers. You have the Chicago Cubs. That leaves us with the NL East. Now,
Right.
the NL East, I would easily tell you that I could tell you that the Washington Nationals with Patrick Corbin and that terrible contract, which would maybe one of the worst in the history of baseball when it's all said and done, maybe up for the
They're not, though.
but they're not. They're way too underpaid. And the Miami Marlins have not tried. They're too busy dancing at nightclubs to even care. Everybody goes there to dance. So you're left.
They have the current Cy Young Award winner.
Nobody even.
They do.
Yes, and he's no. As much as you.
Did you know they had a pitcher?
I know. I know they had.
They had a pitcher. They won an award.
I know they had a pitcher who won an award for winning games that never mattered. So
Listen, he may not have mattered, but he pitched like they mattered. I mean, Alcantara.
But when I was a little kid, the Phillies finished in last place with 54 wins, and Steve Carlton, their pitcher, won the Cy Young, having 27 wins out of 50.
that is amazing. That is an amazing stat.
So maybe
He had half of the team's wins.
Yes.
One pitcher. That is
He was awesome.
that is
He was an awesome pitcher. What a great pitcher. So you want to hear something? Get this. Sandy Alcantara wins the Cy Young Award last year, and he had 207 strikeouts. That's great. That's 11 less strikeouts than Joey Gallo had in 2021. He basically made batters look like Joey Gallo.
How many times did he strike out Joey?
Holy cow.
Yeah, that is one thing to look at. If you're playing fantasy baseball this year, Joey Gallo signed with the Twins. So pick up pitchers that face Joey Gallo in the AL Central. Chicago White Sox, the Cleveland Guardians pitchers, things of that nature. So again, going back to the NL East, that leaves me with two teams, in my opinion, because the Braves aren't there. The Braves are not there. It's either the Phillies or the Mets as the Texas Rangers. And both
You
of them.
said it was Washington or Miami.
No, I said I couldn't go with Washington to spend enough money. Patrick Corbin is fantastic, but they literally are just running away from all money in Washington right now. They're just running away. They don't even want to sign anybody.
They've got Strasburg for $35 million.
How much are they paying Corbin and Are they paying Steven and are they paying those two pitchers as much as the Mets are paying their starters?
They're paying Strasburg $35 million.
How much are they paying Corbin?
Hold on a second.
Those two pitchers, how much are they paying the two of them?
Corbin, I think, is 50. Corbin's $24 million. Strasburg's $35 million.
Then
It's like their whole payroll right there. They're building a winning culture in Washington, and You know,
That's more than the Pirates, right?
Those two pitchers.
yeah.
I can guarantee you they're not going to have half of the team's wins.
Maybe they will.
I think Patrick Corbin.
They're at 80. So no, they're at 83 million. I don't know if Washington's going to have half of the team's wins.
Okay, what was Patrick Corbin's stats last year? If you want to talk about Joey Gallo, Patrick Corbin's stats are by far throw up in your mouth terrible.
Oh, that's no good. It's Christmas cookie season.
I know. I'm
He had a negative 2.5 WAR. That's never good.
not good at all.
6-19 with a 6.31. He had a 6.31 ERA.
And for those that don't know, we're sponsored by APBA Games. That's APBAgames.com. Dad, when you play the APBA board game, if you have a 6.31 ERA, the pitching stats on that pitcher, would he be an F or a Z? How low can they get?
Well,
that stat.
that's a good question. The lowest they ever gave a pitcher was a D, and he would be D plus. I mean, not plus. I mean D minus.
So if
He led the major leagues last year in hits allowed with 210.
So when he plays in the game,
Don't you think?
playing.
Don't you think you could go into AAA of any team and find just a dude and make him pitch for you, and he would do at least as well, if not better than that?
Absolutely. Listen to what he led the major leagues in. The major leagues. All major leagues. Listen. Losses with 19.
Not his fault. Bad team.
Listen, this is the second year in a row because the year before in 2021, he had 16 losses and that led the major leagues. He's now led the major leagues 2 years in a row with earned runs. Last year he had 111, this year he had 107. He led, holy cow, he led the National League last year in home runs allowed with 37. And he led the major leagues this year with 210 hits allowed. If he was an offensive player and you turned it around and made him an offensive player, those stats are remarkable. And maybe that's what's confusing Washington, right? Because in a town known for pork, inflation, and just slapping things on that don't mean anything, they might have looked at the offensive numbers allowed and said, this player's great. Let's give him $24 million because any player that could get 210 hits in a season, let's make that contract work. So
I will. Here's the only argument about him is during their World Series run, he was very, very good. Whatever they gave him and whatever he did, he was very, very good. Now, I will say this, going back to story time, Joe, this is all about Joe. Patrick Corbin is consistent. He leads the majors every year in terrible categories, and for that, we believe he could do it again this year. We believe in Joey Gallo, and we believe in Patrick Corbin. And I believe the Washington Nationals are my nomination in the NL East for the Texas Rangers. We want to win. However, the only thing helping them is they did get the World Series. That's the only thing helping them. That's why, to me, the Mets are a little more on that.
I can't hear you.
The Mets are on the ledge. The Mets are on the ledge because the Mets have not won since when? When was the last time the Mets won at all? When was the last time the Mets celebrated the World Series?
86.
Been a while.
86. Why do you have to bring that up?
Been a long time. And
You sound like every Yankees fan I run into in my life.
I'm not saying that as a Yankee fan. I'm saying that the Texas Rangers have never won. I'm saying this because the Boston Red Sox have not won in a while, and they're going the wrong way. The Detroit Tigers, I can't remember the last time they made the playoffs. That's how long it's been for the Tigers. And the other teams, what do we got? The Colorado Rockies. I believe they made a World Series actually one year. That's impressive. You think back.
What's it? The picture of the Colorado Rockies for the player that's discussing most money. We should have a picture of just third base with no people on it.
I like that.
Is they're paying that much money for third base?
Yes, there should be no hits towards third base because they have two guys covering.
Jeez.
They have Nolan and they have Chris Bryant. What are you upset with now, Todd? Going into the
Because I find your nomination of the Mets having anything to do with the Texas Rangers to be disgusting, and sacrilegious, and quite frankly, if I was the Pope of baseball, he would be excommunicated and kicked out.
Can we change the reference a little bit since not many people know Catholicism? Can we use excommunicado and use John Wick? Because I would not mind
being excommunicado. You'd be forced to roam the earth with your dog and with a bunch of people after you. Dear,
who am I killing first? What team?
God.
What team do I go to the stadium and just start killing everybody? What is the team? What's my team? What, you know me well enough. What is the team that I go to?
That's threatening violence.
It's the Dodgers.
I don't understand. The Texas Rangers sat in a press conference and said to people they were building a winning culture, and that's how they convinced Jake to come over to the Texas Rangers. We all knew it wasn't true. On the flip side, you have Steve Cohen, who's looking at his fans saying, if there's money to be spent, I'm going to spend it. I made a promise we were going to win. I'm backing it up. And he has done everything he could to bring in the players to win a championship. We got Senga. We got, it's there. And there will be more money spent by the Mets this offseason to make them a better team. The fact that you would compare the Rangers to the Mets shows you are biased. You're from the West Coast and you don't understand what you're talking about. And every opinion you have from here on out is out. It's gone. It's blotted.
I will tell you this.
I can't even talk right. I can't even talk right now.
That's fine. We can just compare this to Christmas. You know, when you're sitting at home and Santa comes down the chimney and he gives you those presents and you open it up and you feel a little empty inside when you get it. I think Nimmo's going to be that empty present when it all comes down to it. If we're going to poke the bear, I'm going to poke the bear because the bear needs to be poked because Nimmo was a bad signing. That is a lot of money and he ain't worth it. He ain't worth that money.
He did $18 million a year?
For how many years? 8 years. 8 years. Oh, the cookies don't feel so good no more, do they? No, they do not.
They feel fine. What's wrong with you?
Will he hit over?
What's wrong with you?
Will he hit over 20 home runs in that contract life in a season?
Absolutely will. He will hit over 20 home runs. And when he does, you got to come on here and you got to wear a T-shirt that says, I love Brandon Nimmo. And it's going to be the same as like Napoleon. It's going to be a homemade T-shirt that you make yourself. It's going to say, I love Brandon Nimmo. And you got to come on and apologize to every single baseball-loving person in the universe who knows you're wrong. He's going to hit 20 home runs.
As a man I will gladly do that, but only after I do Botox, so you will know my true feelings about it.
Oh, jeez.
My face
will look like a giant marshmallow stuffed into a T-shirt.
It will be fantastic. All right, we need to close this down because Todd's getting upset because the Mets left him empty again this year in Christmas. He does not going to get a stocking
empty. You love everything they've done.
All of World Series championship trophies. He's not getting that. So the stocking is empty. It's okay. The Mets did try. I will give it to them. But this year, we'll see what happens next year. We got a long season, a long off season. But the good news is Joey Gallo signed and Patrick Corbin still exists. And Average Joe, you get to be the Average Joe at work. So, Dad, your closing thoughts for the night. I know you have a brotherly quarrel here. You have to, as a father, you've seen a lot of these. What's your words of wisdom to all the family?
Well, that's why you guys have to live in different cities because I don't want you beating each other up. But I think that the attention in baseball has been for justifiable reasons on these huge free agent contracts. But the teams that win, you got to watch what happens between now and the start of the season. These teams that are smart are going to pick up the right kind of free agents, or they're going to work trades to fill holds. And when the season starts, there won't be the big guys doing all the stuff. There will be the little guys who do the heavy lifting and move them ahead. I don't like the Dodgers at all, but I think getting J.D. Martinez for $10 million was a steal. I'm still puzzled. I thought for sure they were going to spend big money on a shortstop, and they watched them all go, and they never bit. So that's interesting.
Closing thoughts from you, Todd. My lovely.
I want to close. I want to close with some tweets from Jose Canseco talking about how to negotiate a good deal. I love this guy on Twitter. Jose, let's keep it real. First tweet, and there's 3 tweets here. but it's a good sequence. Be careful when you deal with Cox Communications. They will destroy your credit, even if they're at fault. There is spelled incorrectly, and offer no help to correct it. One day later. Now Cox is calling me from corporate because I made some noise through social media. Finally got their attention. See what they have to say. And the drama begins to unfold. Later in the day, I want to thank from the bottom of my heart Danny G, all caps. She is a resolution specialist from Cox Communications. God, now regular typeface, for correcting the issue I had. She was amazing and helped me when no one else would. Thank you, heart emoji. Listen, if you're going to negotiate a contract, you do that like Cox Communications, and you find out who your Danny G is, and you promote her through social media. I love you, Jose.
Jose, you are our Joe. Every Monday we can count on you. Coming in late, eating a donut, leave it early. But at the end of the day, that quality that quality can't even be fenced in.
I want to know what his issue was with Cox Communications. Did he just not pay? Did he not pay his bill?
How can a guy made multi-millions of dollars playing baseball and not pay his cable bill?
Destroyed his credit until Danny G came in to rescue him. It's just pure gold. And Twitter is free. That's the best part.
Still free. And does Lenny Dykstra have anything for this Christmas season? Do we have anything we need to worry about with Lenny?
Oh, dear Lord.
To fill your stocking?
His sanity. Yeah, you're holy cow. It's a train wreck. That timeline is a train wreck.
Perfect. Well, that's all we have for this episode 14. Remember this year that you're always going to have that significant other, that sibling that's going to give you a Texas Ranger present. They're going to make it feel like they really tried to win for you, but in all reality, it was a last second. They forgot about you. Don't call them out. Don't tell them, hey, I know what you did. This is a terrible present. Don't do that. Wait till you get in the car and then let it rip. That's my advice. Keep the family wholesome. Have a great holiday festivities. Enjoy your Christmas, and Swing Batter to you. Check out our merchandise. Go to swingbatter.com. That's BADDER. Also, subscribe, check out the podcast, share it with all your friends, and we look forward to a lot more of these as we do some more deep dive sandwiches into Swing Batter. Thanks so much, Todd. Dad, it's always the best.
Good night, everyone.
Dad, I love you. Brandon Nimmo is better.
Yeah.
That's your line. Brandon Nimmo is better. Oh, there's so much good stuff in this one. This is such a better.
I did not read this Lenny Dykstra tweet. I'm going to send a picture of it to you guys.
Is it that vulgar?
Because I just got it just now when I was looking through it. The trade for Brittany Griner. He calls her Grinder. The trade for Brittany Griner reminds you most of which of these Mets trades? Jim Fregosi for Nolan Ryan, Bobby Bonilla, Juan Samuel, and Flynn Zachary, H. Son, and Norman. Jim Fregosi won with 40% for Nolan Ryan. Oh, I don't know if we could edit that in there, but Lenny Dykstra, but his Twitter feed is such a complete train wreck.